Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whenever you find a way to watch this podcast. It is me, Omar Rashan Borja, the Burger Popper, and I am back with a guest on the podcast I had long ago. But I mean, if you follow us on social media, you know that our banter goes back and forth. Banter in a good way. I know banter can be kind of taken in a negative connotation, but our banter just goes almost every day on X. But I'm joined by Justin from Updog Sports, and I know it's just Justin today. But I'm just glad that he's able to come and talk. And it's a long time coming. It's a long time coming. Just having you back on the podcast. I know. Last year it was around this time we talked about the Peacock schedule. The selection for those games, and I think there's more interesting juice to be pulled out of it. But that's another debate, or not another debate, but that's just another discussion for another time. So, Justin, thanks so much for joining. How's everything going?
It's good. Pleased to be here. Always good being on your show as always. Good we could connect once again and talk about bowl games. We're finally putting aside the drama of everything else is kind of bowl related when I say that the college football playoff, and just talking about what still makes the sport pure, and that is a topic that we're passionate about: bowl games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm sad that Matt couldn't join us, but hopefully another time Matt can. I know you said he's on vacation, right?
Yep. He's on his way on vacation right now, so he is taking his journey to somewhere in the middle of farmland, Ohio today. So be good, exciting times, Matt. If you see us at some point, watch the show. I hope you're having safe travels and enjoying time with family.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope he enjoys his vacation. It's kind of weird just being in a regular job because when we think of vacation, like I mean, this is prime vacation time. It's literally June, but I mean, I just think of like, when do adults take vacations? Like when is like an acceptable vacation time in general for an adult? But of course it's summertime, so definitely a great time to take vacation, and especially now when it seems like there's some dead space. But today was just a crazy news day, with the bowl schedule releasing, and then of course we got Deshaun Jackson versus Mike Vick's team playing at Lincoln Financial Field, that getting announced, and of course conference realignment. It wouldn't be college sports without conference realignment. So I'm glad that Matt's able to find some rest somehow, and hopefully he doesn't feel behind because the news will always be there. It seems like.
Right. Yeah. It's been a crazy day. Those were three big headlines right there, and I mean we could have a whole episode just talking about what's going on in the
Yep.
CAA right now. And yeah, I was so excited for that announcement about Norfolk State versus Delaware State at the link. That is going to be a really cool game. I'm assuming it's going to be on network TV. No other reason why you would put that on a Thursday.
Yeah, it'll probably be so that's in November. That's typically when the MEAC likes to air their weeknight MEAC obligations. So perfect time. The kickoff's a bit late, I'll say. 8 o'clock p.m. is a bit late. I think those games usually kick off at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Um, but definitely, it should draw a strong cable crowd because I do think that I don't have the numbers to back it up. I mean, the numbers are there. I'm not going to dig in. That wasn't part of the prior research. We're just kind of talking here, but like I have a feeling that college football viewership on Thursday nights has gone up because of the whole Amazon Prime agreement, and that includes the MEAC games on Thursday nights, and of course the ESPN games, and even the CBS Sports Network games. Like, so I feel like there will be strong viewership just on that alone, but also it's Deshaun Jackson coaching a team. Like a lot of guys like me, like Deshaun Jackson's like the breaking point for unk status for me at this point. I'm like, man, Deshaun Jackson is coaching now. Like, man, I'm getting old. Like I'm already I'm already in the downhill of the 20s now, just being 26 and seeing that. Like Mike Vick, like, he was a rookie in 2001. Like, that's given. He should have had a head coaching job by now. But Deshaun Jackson, whew, that's on status. But yeah, even then, yeah, with that news, it's great. And I feel like HBCU classics are just back, honestly. We got Mississippi Valley State, Florida A&M at Atlanta. Like I wouldn't say that they're back, but we're back in the era where it's like, people are putting out big money for HBCU classics, which shameless plug, I'm gonna record with longtime friend Dwayne Nash of the Yard HBCU Sports, talking about many classics on the scene. But I just feel like it's a great time because I love my neutral site games.
I love it too. It's a huge opportunity to show these programs, display these programs in the big market. And I mean, what better than the link where Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson played together. Now we get that beautiful full circle moment. And I love that these classics are including everyone. Like I've seen, we have the Orange Blossom Classic, Florida A&M and Howard are playing. We have, Mississippi Valley State is involved, Delaware State, Norfolk State. It's just great seeing just about everyone involved in some sort of classic at this point. I mean, we of course we got to mention Grambling State and Jackson State in Las Vegas this year. It's so cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like schools like Delaware State, that they haven't appeared in the MEAC SWAC Challenge since 2013. I want to say. I know I just wrote about that, but since 2013 they haven't appeared in that one. And in general, classes kind of avoid them. They don't have the biggest fan base, and they have not had the most success. But it's just great to see them in a high-profile event, and it's great because, frankly, with that in mind, the Jackson hiring is already paying off for them getting more exposure. Now, hopefully they can turn it to wins because the MEAC is honestly that is anyone's league at any point, and that's my favorite conference race to follow because what I've been quoted as saying it's a 5-game sprint. You can do whatever you want in non-conference play, but once that 5-game sprint hits, you gotta make sure that you have all your ducks in line and whatnot. So, of course, I guess this is a good segue talking about the 5-game sprint of the MEAC race with the bowl schedule, which I'm going to try to, I don't know why I didn't think about this in the lead up. I'm going to try to hopefully share a screen and have both of us with the bowl schedule already laid out. So let's see if I can do that. I know I'm if everyone can just bear with me, I've been trying to work on StreamYard for the longest time, or just recently. So let's see. I got to download.
Absolutely, and I know from my side, technology is never our biggest friend. So
yeah,
does it want to work? Does it not? You never know.
I think I should be coming close to it right now. So it's trying something new right here on the hardware pod. There we go. I think this will work. Hopefully it should show up. Okay, that looks promising.
Drum roll.
Okay, we're here. It's a bit. I'm not sure how much I can zoom in. But yeah, both of us on the side, of course. And so I guess it's a bit small. Might need to get your magnifying glass out if you are following us, but I'm sure you can just vaguely recognize the logos. But as we were saying with the MEAC, the 5-game MEAC race, of course, bowl season starting off with the Celebration Bowl. I think the way they have it out great. I think it's a great way that they have it. Even though as an Army-Navy fan, you like to see Army-Navy be a standalone game. You have the Celebration Bowl as a lead-in and really kind of getting people ready for a good college football Saturday. So that's great to see on ABC as well. So December 13th, lead into Army-Navy. The first thing, I mean, we're not going to be discussing every bowl game because we are in a bit of a time constraint, but excuse me. So the first bowl game that really piqued my interest, first time slot really, is the LA Bowl on December 13th. I really feel like this is a sign of the LA Bowl kind of losing its status. Honestly, kind of ESPN kind of giving it the backhand or waving its hand at the LA Bowl because if you remember, the LA Bowl is not owned by ESPN. It's one of the few bowls involving a group of 5 team that is not owned by ESPN. And I know people can't see my mouse cursor, but I'm underlining it constantly here. But I want to know your thoughts, Justin, on the LA Bowl being December 13th before I talk about a nightmare scenario for that bowl that could occur.
Yeah, I like at the same time that we get it a little bit early. It's a nice little nightcap after the Army-Navy game, but it does feel like they're kind of trying to push this aside because currently the tie-in is Mountain West versus historic Pac-12, and of course, RIP. We lost the Pac-12 and I'm curious to see where you go with this because we know those two conferences are in a massive feud at the moment. But it is kind of disappointing to see because it's in a cool stadium. Gronk makes this game so much fun, but yeah, it was surprising to see it so early.
Yeah, so honestly, you can look at it both ways. Like the earliness is horrible from a travel perspective, which I'll go into after saying this, but it's better than it was being on I think either a Wednesday night last year, middle of the week, which it was a good game, good competitive game, but not an optimal viewing window being a before Christmas midweek game for for the country to see. Now, my nightmare scenario with the LA Bowl, which I think that the only schools, of course, that are going to be impacted in this whole Mountain West Pac-12 beef right now is, of course, Washington State and Oregon State for whatever bowls they get selected to playing against the Mountain West and Pac-12, which, of course, this is the only matchup. So I would like to think that the Mountain West would steer clear and be in talks with the LA Bowls. I do not Paris against Oregon State or Washington State. But my nightmare scenario is, of course, the week before, December 5th, you have the Mountain West Championship game. And the LA Bowl, of course, pairs a champion with whoever or the runner-up. So say that you have, I don't, it's not a likely scenario, but you have a Wyoming, Utah State, Colorado State, or even the Air Force Academy. One of those schools that is actually, I'm not even going to say the Air Force Academy because they have a national draw. They have a good national draw, but Wyoming, Utah State, or Colorado State in that eastern part of the conference playing in the Mountain West Championship game on the road, mind you. And then a week later, their fans have to travel to Los Angeles. I'll probably do a write-up about this too for those of you that missed this podcast, but that's a nightmare scenario I think of. And I wonder how much the Mountain West and good old Gloria Nevarez thought about that scenario. So I want to know your thoughts on that, Justin.
Oh yeah, that's going to be an attendance killer for sure. It will be. You're going to see a lot of empty seats in SoFi. Basically, is what you'll see happen there. And the other problem is, I don't know for a historic Pac-12 school how much of a draw it'll be for them either. So you're looking at a game really early on in the bowl season that has a lot of empty seats. Now, if I'm going to play devil's advocate here, I will give you the one positive of this. It's so early in the cycle that most likely not a lot of people are going to hit the transfer portal yet. So at least you're getting 2 full teams playing in this game.
Wow, I didn't think about the transfer portal. I always lose track of what day the transfer portal actually starts. But that's a great point, and I do agree with the attendance standpoint. Attendance was not helped last year by the Wednesday night kickoff. It was the lowest in LA Bowl history by over 5,000 fans, with UNLV playing California. But we'll see. I will say also too, not as much a devil's advocate. On the bright side, you could have a dream scenario where Air Force ends up either being the runner-up to the Mountain West to Boise State, who goes to the playoff, and so they have to take the spot in the LA Bowl, or Air Force winning the whole darn Mountain West, and then you get Army-Navy game followed by a nightcap of Air Force playing in their bowl game. So, that is a great marketing opportunity if that happens for ESPN, to have a service academy play as a nightcap, because, patriotism, it rises on Army Navy Day. It's a football game, but America loves it. Whether that's because it's
Absolutely.
a standalone game. They didn't love it as much so I'll tell you what, they didn't love it as much when it was a 12 p.m. leadoff to the SEC title game back in 08 and 07 and whatnot. But I won't go as much there. But they love it because it's a tradition, and they've gotten used to Army Navy having its own weekend. And now you get an Air Force game, a bowl game too. I mean, I feel like a lot of people like seeing the service academies play in bowl games. It's just good. I feel like people just root for the service academies in bowl games regardless. So definitely should be a good college football Saturday for for people that want to flex their patriotism. If Air Force ends up playing that LA Bowl.
And what's most glorious is seeing a team like Air Force get their shot at a bigger name program too. We love that. I mean, I can think of a lot of good bowl games throughout recent years where Air Force got their shot against the likes of Washington State, Georgia Tech, Baylor, all of those. And man, were they a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. My friends and I, we made a road trip to the Air Force, the 2009 Cheez-It Bowl, as in Cheez-It, not the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl or the Cheez-It Bowl, but the Cheez-It Bowl back when it was at Chase Field. And that was just a great game. Like, you really saw the Air Force option counter the Mike Leach, rest in peace, air raid. I mean, I think they had a drive that was 99 yards and over 13 minutes long, I think, where they ended up, scoring a touchdown. But it was a really fun game. And it was just good to see the service academies measure up to a Power 5. And that was before the portal era was really big. So like you said, the big names, and we got that nice feeling when Oklahoma lost to Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl. Moving on, Justin, I don't know if you had anything else to add in terms of that. So we had, in terms of the schedule. So other than that, there really isn't much going on. You got your regular dose of your midweek Group of 5 bowl games and everything. The 23rd, is poised to be a really phenomenal day with bowl games in the middle of the week. I think the 23rd being a Monday or Saturday, a Tuesday, excuse me, being a Tuesday.
Tuesday,
You
yeah.
have three bowl games, back to back to back, all group of five games. It's kind of weird seeing the New Orleans Bowl not be on a Saturday, but I think it's been that way for the past few years, and I just haven't gotten with the times. But I do miss the New Orleans Bowl being that Saturday nightcap, the group of five Sugar Bowl. Nothing too out of the ordinary. We got the Rate Bowl, the Game Above Sports Bowl, which is absolute dandy last year. The Rate Bowl on the 26th. Serpro First Responder Bowl, and then the 27th, another huge bowl day with a bunch of games on a Saturday. I just love when ABC broadcast bowl games like the old days, and the slate of games this year looks like ABC is once again abandoning any trace of a bowl game involving a group of five team, because we have the Bad Boy Mower Pinstripe Bowl, which I love seeing a Yankee Stadium bowl game, seeing the bowl game at Yankee Stadium, that great venue being showcased to the country on ABC. At 12 p.m. That's a great time slot. The Pop-Tarts Bowl is phenomenal last year, 3:30 on ABC, and a real tentpole game outside the playoff. You got I think the first choice among the ACC's bowls outside the playoffs versus the second choice for the Big 12. Just an amazing game last year. And then you got the Gator Bowl. I love this. I love the Gator Bowl getting some primetime shine on ABC. Just back in the days, like in the 60s and the 70s, which I have a write-up coming about that, just about the Gator Bowl's return to glory to those primetime days. So, Justin, I want to know your thoughts on the ABC's selection of bowls, and your thoughts also, too, on, once again, there being no group of five bowl games in these time slots once again.
It's a shame, really. It definitely. I like the bowls that they chose. That aside, though, the group of five not getting these opportunities on ABC is incredibly disappointing. It it it, it's the path that ABC continues to take. We're seeing it in the regular season. We're seeing it now here. And I know for me, at least, as a group of five enjoyer, ABC is showing up less and less on my TV as a result of it. It's definitely a strange scenario when we're looking at the schedule now, and I believe I think we have at least two HBCU games on ABC and zero group of five games on ABC this year. That is both good for HBCUs. I would like to see more of that, but we're abandoning a group of five completely in this scenario. Gone are the days where we had primetime ABC have SMU and Memphis during having college game day there. That game was so much fun, but ESPN is this is ESPN's continued push to kind of sort of push out the group of five. It feels like, at least that's what it seems like to me. You can let me know what you think about that.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with that. And I know last year I was incensed that they made Notre Dame Navy a 7-day or a 6-day selection based on the results of, I think it was Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Notre Dame Georgia Tech game, or the Notre Dame Georgia Tech game before Notre Dame Navy, because I would have snapped a streak of Notre Dame Navy that's still going on, of it being broadcast on network TV for 32 straight years. And in doing some research for a video that's going to release Monday or Tuesday, hopefully Monday, that there's been rivalries like the Iron Bowl has been on cable. Michigan, Penn State has been on cable. Michigan, Ohio State's been on cable. LSU, Alabama's been on cable. And even the Red River rivalry has been on cable during that span. Notre Dame Navy has not. But that's just the way it is, where every time slot is an SEC game. And it's just a change from where, ABC is showing the best game in the country, no matter what the region is. And it's funny you say about the group of five being pushed off, because with the early season selections, I thought honestly that Temple, Oklahoma would have been a cheap ABC game for the American, because I think that they're supposed to get 2 games on ABC, but the wording of the contract kind of spells out what ESPN's intentions are. The wording of the Americans contract, where you get, I think, 20 games, at least 20 games on ABC, ESPN, or ESPN2, where the old contract was 3 games on ABC per year. And then there wasn't a minimum for the ESPN or ESPN2 games. So it's kind of a shame where the direction things are going with the SEC and with ABC pushing out the group of five. But at the very least, they picked a SEC bowl game with a rich tradition and nostalgia. So there's that.
Yeah. I again, though, like, I do enjoy seeing these historic bowls getting that kind of slot there. So I'm happy to see that at least. It's just, yeah, I just wish that we could have seen at least one Group of Five bowl game get an ABC slot. Like,
Yep.
when we'll go, even going back to the LA Bowl earlier, like, what are you doing on December 13th? Like, ABC, what are you doing? Just, you only have one football game that day. Go ahead and throw that on there,
Yeah, exactly. I do think that that ABC is using that time slot for the NBA. I wrote a piece a couple years ago about what a possible MEAC championship on ABC would look like, and I think they filled that time slot with NBA. Sadly, I mean,
Mm.
I shouldn't even say sadly, because the NBA, it's a great league and they make a lot of money for ABC. The problem's me. I'm not a I don't watch basketball too much, so I'm the problem in that situation. But going on, Justin, unless you have anything to add for the 27th of December regarding those games, I'm sorry. Do you have anything to add?
Oh, just in general, I mean, this is a loaded slate. That actually brings up a question.
Okay.
Now, the loaded slate like that kind of brings us back to the old days where you had that major bowl day on the same day. Do you like that, or do you prefer seeing them kind of spread out, see each bowl get displayed in its beauty, like to everyone in the nation? Which scheme do you kind of prefer with that?
So man, I definitely like the packed bowl day because it reminds me of when I was a kid. I feel like a lot of the things that I saw as a kid was like the end of an era. Because I remember the first New Year's Day. I can remember watching college football. You had the Capital One Bowl on, this is January 1st, 2006. You had the Capital One Bowl on ABC. You have the Gator Bowl on NBC, and then you had the Cotton Bowl on Fox. And it was just whip around coverage on New Year's Day. So it's like that nostalgia. I like it, but the only problem I don't like with it is the fact that one network is broadcasting. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One network's broadcasting 7 of the 8 games. I guess one family of networks is doing that. So that's the only issue I have with it. But I frankly love it, honestly.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to the CW getting in the mix there with the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. I promised I would get that in here at some point.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, even that one too, that's a great one. Like last year, that was like, for me, I call that in my head the Group of Five Rose Bowl. And it, Mountain West versus MAC, Midwest versus West, two teams of a good caliber the past few years. Where you had, I think this past year you had Miami, really good team, and Colorado State, who had a shot to win the
Yeah.
Mountain West last year. 2023, you had Toledo, the MAC runners up. 2022, you had Ohio, the MAC runners up. And it's just great to see that the MAC is like sending their best to the Arizona Bowl. And I think there's more buy-in from the Mountain West now. I think they're sending their best teams now that Barstool isn't attached to it. Because I know that brought some serious ethical considerations on their part. So I think it's great to see, especially the CW get such a great game. And I think the ratings on that one were very good. I'd have to check. But they've been solid since the CW took over the action.
Yeah, yeah, and it's two of my favorite conferences facing off. I one of my favorite bowl memories is Craig Bowl walking off into the sunset. The Wyoming stole that game away from Toledo in the most Craig Bowl Wyoming fashion. And then last year, I unfortunately was not able to watch it because it was on the same day as the Alamo Bowl, which, as you can see by the shirt, was the game that I was at. But at one point, I think it was either my wife or one of the friends that she had over, she had some Miami alums over for the game. And I noticed a split screen going on where they had the Alamo Bowl on and the tail end of that game on. And I was like, oh, I married the right woman.
Yeah, so I mean that's definitely awesome. I mean, I missed it too, just because that was the day that the Independence Bowl was on. So we both were on different travels, but that's just the greatness of that big bowl day, especially too. The action goes from 11 a.m. all the way to well past midnight with the Texas Bowl closing out the day at 9:15 p.m. So moving past the 27th, you got the Birmingham Bowl on the 29th. Not much
Don't
comment
you
there.
find that one kind of random a little bit? Like, so it's the 29th. It's what, I forget what day of the week that is, but
That's
it's
Monday.
just so. a Monday.
Yeah.
It's so random. It's 2 o'clock on a Monday, and then we don't have a nightcap that day.
Well, the nightcap would be, I want to say that's Monday Night Football. That's why it's scheduled that way.
Isn't the NFL playoffs by then? Maybe they have a Monday playoff game.
So the playoffs start the second week of January. So the way it'll work out is you have December 29th, that's a Monday, and then they have the doubleheader Saturday at the end of that week. At the end of the week of I can't pinpoint the date, but I want to say it's like January 3rd or 4th, whenever the first Saturday of January is. That's when they do their usual doubleheader. So there will be a Monday Night Football game on the 29th. But it is a bit random for sure. But I feel like the Birmingham Bowl is just one of those bowls that ESPN just moves around at will, because there's years where it was after New Year's Day. I know that it was supposed to be on New Year's Day during the pandemic for whatever reason, like on New Year's Day. So it's just interesting how what ESPN does with the Birmingham Bowl. Still wish we were at Legion Field, but that's a conversation for another time. I'm nostalgic, and yeah, I've been there. It's not the best place, but love me the history. Going on to, so I'm interested in your thoughts on the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl being at 2 p.m., getting off the late night slate, which I know Army fans were incensed that they had to wait till 9:15 to watch Army play. And of course, the ratings struggled for Army in that bowl game, as it was in the bottom 10 of bowl viewership. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it was the tied for the 6th lowest watched bowl of the bowl season. Army Louisiana Tech, despite the phenomenal season that Army had, and despite the storyline of Bryson Daly breaking Keenan Reynolds' single season quarterback rushing touchdown record, lowly rated. But this seems like a great time slot. The last time it was in this time slot, it was Louisiana versus Houston, and it had over 1 million more viewers than Army Louisiana Tech did last year. So I want to know your thoughts. I kind of liked it being a late night showcase, honestly. I didn't mind it because we were the last game of the day, so a good amount of the country would have been watching that game, would have been watching the Independence Bowl. But I just want to know your thoughts on the Independence Bowl returning to daytime.
I like it being on its own time slot here. It's a historic bowl. It kind of deserves its own stage, and that's what it's getting now. Last year, we kind of mentioned it with our little travels. We were at different bowls at the same time because I was at the Alamo Bowl, which is on at the exact same time slot, basically. So they went against each other. More people chose to watch BYU just tear into Deion Sanders' Colorado team than watch Army, just pretty much annihilate a 5-7 Louisiana Tech team. So that's kind of where we saw the ratings suffer. So I think this is kind of a course correction by the Independence Bowl to get themselves in their own standalone spot. And we could end up with a pretty cool game here if they match up conference champions again.
Yeah, exactly. So with that one though, the bowl tie-in, it was supposed to be BYU and they're independent, but it's going to be Conference USA versus Big 12. So potentially, I think if Conference USA is smart, I think they'll put their champion or their runner-up in that bowl game against the Big 12 as a statement game. So the Conference USA does not get many chances to play the Power 5 in bowl games. So I'm actually really excited for this one, for what this matchup could shape out to be, because it's definitely going to be one of the more unique of the bowl season.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool one. I really hope that pans out because I know the Big 12 had that slot last year and they could not fill it. So my hope is that we see that happen this year. That would be a lot of fun to see at Top Conference USA. Thinking of some of the top brands in that conference, like Western Kentucky, get their shot at a Big 12 team would be so cool. So you just got me. I knew the Cornacchia Bulls would have that tie in there, but I used maybe very excited for that bowl game.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been super excited for that one. I was excited last year for Army because I remember so it was a Pac-12 tie-in for the other side of the American versus Pac-12. But I remember rooting for Iowa State to just pull. Iowa State were to win, then that would have meant that Arizona, that I think that would have meant that a Pac-12 team would have dropped down due to the weird Pac-12 legacy bowl agreement. We would have played probably either a Washington or not USC. USC would have been grabbed up by that point, but I think we would have played Washington in that bowl, in the Independence Bowl, and that would have been a rare matchup for us. So I know that was the root of a lot of Army fans' ire, but this year, hopefully it does work out. I know the Big 12, they have 12 teams to choose from, and I think the Independence Bowl would be the seventh or eighth bowl spot. I don't think they should have a problem filling those bowls. So hopefully we see it happen. Hopefully it just happens in general where they get a Power 5 team. If not, we'll get Sunbelt Conference USA, as if we need those conferences warring between each other even more after the realignment fallout. So either way, it's going to be a fun matchup. Going down the list with about 10 minutes that we have remaining. So Music City Bowl, of course, going on the rest of it. Music City Bowl, the Alamo Bowl. Then you have New Year's Eve, which New Year's Eve has kind of become the new New Year's Day. Oh, I'm sorry, Justin, but yeah. Oh, I'll let you.
Yeah. I forgot to mention in the pre-show that the Alamo Bowl is one that I keep my eye on, just because with my connections with Colorado, I'm usually able to get free tickets to Colorado bowl games. And the blessing and curse of Colorado football is that they either are not bowl eligible or they only end up in the Alamo Bowl. So I kept an eye on the Alamo Bowl time this year. Much better time for me personally. Will not have to fly out day of bowl game this time. So that's good news, at least. We'll have to fly out and then drive back. So maybe not, if they end up there again, maybe not crazy travel schedule this time.
Yeah, hopefully. I do think that they'll avoid the Alamo Bowl this time, and I think that the Holiday Bowl looks more realistic for a non-New Year's Six bowl for sure. But we'll see. I know it's one of those interesting things, like you mentioned, where Colorado is like UTEP, where they keep getting invited to the same team when they're bowl eligible, or by the same bowl when they're bowl eligible, where UTEP hasn't appeared in a bowl game that's not the New Mexico Bowl since 2005. And Colorado has not appeared in a bowl game that is not the Alamo Bowl since 2007 when they went to the Independence Bowl. It is interesting, but hopefully, success, helps them out in that scenario, gets them to a different bowl. I do think they're primed for the Holiday Bowl. That's where I would place them this year, honestly. So I don't think you have to worry about the Alamo or about going to San Antonio again this year.
Yeah, it actually brings us a good segue here. The Holiday Bowl. No, has not decided their time slot yet. Where do you think that one kind of slots in?
It's kind of weird because Fox moves to the beat of their own drum. I want to say they would be ridiculous to try to fight the NFL. I'm gonna say they're gonna try to slide in on December 30th. To be honest with you, that's a lighter day. There's no NFL. It's gonna be a post Christmas Day bowl game, and competing with the Alamo Bowl. Not too tough, really. So yeah, I'd see them sliding in there because it's going to be past Christmas. I don't think it's going to be the 26th. I think that's too early. But they would have less stiff competition against the First Responder Bowl. So that's where I think. But Fox definitely is always late with that release.
Yeah, I agree. And I like that 30th slot because I'm looking there. I think the Music City Bowl starts at like 5:30. You slot that in right at 7. You're only like partially competing with those, and you're just hoping, normally those historic Pac-12 versus ACC matchups end up being a lot of fun. So you're gonna end up with a pretty good bowl there.
Yeah, exactly. So, the Holiday Bowl is always great. It's kind of like the Pop-Tarts Bowl, like you said. It's an optimal matchup, pretty high on the Pac-12s. The Pac-12 being one of the few conferences that actually has an order for how the bowls select, and it's not as much collaborative. So, definitely the Pac-12 will drive a good opponent from the ACC. It did last year. It was cool to see Syracuse play in that bowl game and have most of the country get to see Kyle McCord. Those are the country that are cord cutters, get to see Kyle McCord on network TV and such a phenomenal year. So going on, the New Year's Eve is probably my second favorite day of the non-playoff bowls, I guess, in general, because I don't really care about the playoff bowls as much anymore. You got the ReliaQuest Bowl on ESPN. You got the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, of course, on CBS. I'm not going to do math, but for the for the whatever consecutive year since 1968 on that network, just amazing. I hope it happens forever where CBS keeps airing that game. Then you got the Citrus Bowl at 3:00, which I like how things work out now. I think this is the best compromise for the situation with the playoff, where you have the ReliaQuest Bowl at 12 and then the Citrus Bowl at 3:00, that they're not competing with each other, and the Citrus Bowl gets to stay on ABC. So, and then of course, nightcap being the Las Vegas Bowl off of the late night time slot, which is great. And then all that leads into the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. So actually, yeah, I guess a little bit inopportune to have the Las Vegas Bowl compete with the Citrus Bowl, but I just have to say I like New Year's Eve because you have the three We have the two New Year's Day, usually New Year's Day Florida Bowls, and then you have the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, of course, as it belongs on New Year's Eve. So, what are your thoughts on the New Year's Eve placement leading into the college football playoff? Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. The editing will have to be on my end, which it shouldn't be too much. But yeah, so going on about New Year's Eve. So I do like. I want to know your thoughts on the sort of programming block where you have the ReliaQuest Bowl and the Citrus Bowl, your two traditional Friday New Year's Day bowls, and then you have the Sun Bowl, of course, traditional slot, high noon, out in the mountain time zone, leading into the college football playoff.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. I think this is a pretty typical schedule we see for these games, and it'll be a very fun lead in to the playoff. Which, of course, for us, I think the lead in kind of becomes the main event, but it's an enjoyable slate of games there on the 31st.
Yeah, absolutely. And it reminds me too with the Sun Bowl. This isn't the first time that it's led into the playoff. I remember back in 2021, my family and I went. That was the first time we went to the Sun Bowl. We drove 4 hours from Albuquerque down to El Paso. And that game started off at 10 a.m. local time because the Cotton Bowl was a 3:30 kickoff on New Year's Eve. And that was the Cincinnati, Alabama Cotton Bowl. So very interesting, very weird kickoff, but I'm glad that it's better for the local fans. And it also didn't help that it was pouring rain that day. So definitely, like you said, that's a good point. That for us, true college football fans, like this is it. This is the main event for us. But it's good for the casual fans that are flipping around and they'll see those games and they'll see recognizable helmets. So going on about the playoff, I mean, there's really not much to be said about the playoff that hasn't been said or will not be said. So we're going to close this out as I'm running a little bit short on time. So we have January 2nd. I'm really beginning to like how the day after New Year's, we have a proper sort of closing ceremony type thing, like Olympic closing ceremony of the bowl season, where you have January 2nd, Armed Forces Bowl. You got the Liberty Bowl at 4:30. Then you got the Duke's Mayo Bowl at 8 o'clock. The Duke's Mayo Bowl did great as a standalone game post New Year's. I will say that. But I also like as an Army fan and seeing that as a bowl that we're probably going to be placed in. We haven't been there in 4 years. I like us getting that post New Year's Day hangover slot at 1 p.m. kick off a day with the lead into the Liberty Bowl, a very traditional bowl game that's familiar. And of course the Mayo Bowl, which is gaining traction among casual fans, just of course because of the gimmicks. So I want to know your thoughts there.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think this is the perfect slate to go with this. January 2nd was a good day to kind of do a full set of games just because that is a Friday after New Year's Day. So a lot of people are probably just going to say screw it and take this day off of work as well, extend their weekend a little bit. So this is a good set there. The only thing I'm disappointed with, and it's not with this specific day, is, I felt like last year we kind of trickled out like a game in the third. The third's a Saturday. And even one on the following Monday. We did not do that this year, and I'm a little bit disappointed about that. I wanted to see a few more in there.
Yeah, I was wondering why they did that, honestly. Just looking at, I got to pull up this calendar. So the 2nd is a Friday, and it just makes sense. Like, I feel like everything, there's a lot of times where, like, of course, I'm no TV executive, but I feel like ABC could do the best thing possible here and have two lead-ins or one lead-in to their doubleheader Saturday, put one of these bowls, even the Armed Forces Bowl, as their doubleheader Saturday lead-in on January 3rd, and then play their two NFL games. But I'm not sure why they don't do it. I'm not sure what programming obligations they have on January 3rd in the afternoon. I think it's just kids programming, to be honest with you. Which I think that's now we're now reaching into the weird loophole of this podcast with federal broadcasting law, which I'm not even going to get into. So, because I don't know enough about it, but it just baffles me how they keep doing that. It's like, I don't know how you don't want, like, probably the biggest non-Thanksgiving regular season weekend of the year, or the biggest non-Thanksgiving regular season day of the year, in my opinion, doubleheader Saturday. You don't do a college football lead-in, but who am I?
Yeah, I know. I feel the exact same way. Disappointed by that. But again, obviously, there may be pro sports stuff that we didn't pay as much attention to.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point, of course, because after that you have the semifinal bowls, you have the All-Star games, which I may be making a lot out of nothing, but the East-West Shrine Bowl raises a lot of questions with, of course, the time and the TBD. But that is a discussion for another time, which we'll see. I think time will only tell. Maybe it's overreaction. But Justin, thank you for joining. I know we had a bunch of technical difficulties along the way. Do you have anything final to add before I sign off, or before we sign off?
Man, hopefully next time, I remember, for the draft, we had you on, you
Yep.
knocked your router out, and now this time around, my internet decided it did not want to cooperate. So, thank you again for having me on the podcast. Was a great time talking about bowl games, which we both love so much. Hopefully next time technology will cooperate, but technology decides when it does and doesn't cooperate. So that's out of our control. But yeah, thank you for having me on. And I guess I'll do our little quick plug or whatever so we can wrap this up quickly. You can find us on Twitter, same name, Updog Sports Talk. And we are also on YouTube, Podbean, all the other areas that you get your podcast. And apparently, for 4 years now, we've had a Reddit site, and Matt just told me about it yesterday. So there we have that. We are going to use it now. Almost everyone did not know we had that because we did not know we had it.
Wow. Okay, I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check it out. Is it just Reddit Updog Sports Talk?
Yep.
All right, I'm checking it out then. I'm not much of a Reddit guy, but I'm kind of fascinated to see what people have posted.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably not a whole lot. Probably just our ongoing previews going on there, um but hey, we're gonna start using it now.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I love Updogs. I love Updogs podcast. I love what their posts. They're done a series, or you guys are doing a series recently that's continuing about the best non-conference games no one's talking about, and showed a little bit of love at the FCS level. Citadel versus North Dakota State, which I know people definitely are not talking about. I mean, even me as an FCS fan, because I see that, I'm like, man, Citadel is just gonna. This isn't the Citadel of the mid 2010s that was beating South Carolina, beating Georgia Tech. But like, it's good to see you like shine a light on that game too, because I know North Dakota State fans, they love traveling. Like that is a vacation for them. So
Right. Yeah, that's going to be a really cool game, and it is fun. That is the whole point of the series, like to shine a light on all these other games, because I feel like most of the big media discourse is talking about the same 5 non-conference games over and over again. So I'm like, let's shine a light on all these other games going on. Some of them are just really cool. In this case here, the Citadel North Dakota State, it's just a really cool matchup that's never happened before that we're seeing on the field. Each of them brings their own unique thing, and I think the fans of those teams are really enjoying hearing their game spotlighted.
yeah, exactly. So before I bring up any new topics and run even more over time, thank you again, Justin, for joining. Really appreciate it. I really enjoy anytime we get to talk past the timeline, past the X timeline, and I look forward to the next time we get to do this.
Absolutely. Same here.
All right, until next time, everyone, thank you for watching. Peace, love, and soul on the Burger Popper. God bless.